Hi again, people. All right, so link to this document will be in the description. I'm putting this on my shared Google Drive, so feel free to access it through the link, and you can go through and read the whole thing. I'm going to cover a few areas on this active shooting, what Texas is teaching all Texas law enforcement. This is from January of 2020, so the Uvalde Police Department should have had it, okay? So also I wanted to cover, Tatum put a comment that he wants to come on the next live. I don't know if he will or not. I mean, he gets busy, and a lot of people have kind of been beating him up in the comments, and some of the things he said, if he said them, I'm a little disappointed, but the fact that he's willing to come on and talk about it, or at least reach out, says to me that, hey, he's not as close-minded as everybody keeps saying, but we'll see. If he comes out, great. I had a few people say you'll never hear from him again. Well, they were already wrong, because he commented just yesterday saying, hey, man, bring me on the next live. So, but look, people get busy, man. Just because he doesn't come on doesn't mean he's hiding or dodging. He reached out. I would love to talk to him, and I'll try to set it up. But, you know, some of the things he said that really is he's for red flag laws, which I'd like to ask him about that. And something else that people said is he was blaming the mom that went in there and said she was wrong for going in and getting her kid. And I want to talk to him about that. And then obviously I'm calling them cowards and he's not. So hopefully we'll get him on there. But anyway, that's Officer Tatum. Not that we have an ongoing battle. I did a response video to his video, and the comments have been pretty, I keep getting comments on what he's putting out. So let's go over this active shooting on what law enforcement is taught, kind of what I was told, and why people are siding with the cops versus siding with me, so to speak, because I'm saying they screwed up and they're cowards and they should have went in. And I know people are going to say, Rick, you don't know if they're cowards. I don't know if they're cowards. What I'm saying they're cowards is they didn't make a decision on their own to go in. Their cowardly acts by following orders and letting kids die, to me, is cowardly, okay? I don't know any of these guys individually. I'm just telling you, for 19 armed cops to stand in a hall while guys in there killing kids, that's pretty cowardly to me. I don't know how else to explain cowardly, but that would be it. Here we go. So on most syllabuses, lesson plans, we call them lesson plans. I don't know what they call them now. You usually put out what you're going to be teaching, what it's for, etc. This subject matter expert in active shooter response, special weapons, tactics, reality-based training, similar, okay? This is the instructor prerequisites. You got to have this before you can teach this class. You got to be certified instructor, and you got to be subject matter expert in these areas. You're going to require training guns, training tourniquets, lecture, discussion, scenario-based videos, etc. Learning objectives is a lot of times what you will test at the end. So if my learning objective is the student will be able to discuss HB 2095, one of the test questions may be, what is the purpose of HB 2195? Now that's House Bill 2195. I don't know anything about that. So the student will be able to identify historic school-related activity. The student will be able to compare and contrast an active shooter event and a hostage or barricade crisis. This is obviously the learning objective that wasn't cleared up in those guys that stood out in the hallway. The student will be able to discuss and avoid, deny, defend the model commonly trained for civilians. Civilians are taught to avoid the guy, deny entry, and then defend yourself and fight. So that's one of the learning objectives. They're going to teach that, so you have to understand it. So when citizens ask you something, student will be able to identify priorities during shootings. That's good. I want to be able to identify that. The student will be able to explain the need for potential to adopt solo response. Solo response meaning you go in on your own. You don't wait for backup. You don't wait when you have 19 other cops and you wait for a SWAT team. That's not what we consider solo response. So a lot of these cops who got this training missed a lot of the learning objectives. The student will be able to demonstrate proper muzzle discipline, demonstrate proper threshold evaluation, communication. Obviously, we can't get communication. The chief is saying he didn't even have a freaking radio. And he's saying 911 never told him that kids were calling in. So another failed learning objective. let's see here. I want to get into, before I forget, these gun bills that they're coming hard on these gun for red flag laws and raising the age for assault weapons and banning assault weapons. Assault weapon is assault is an action. It's not a freaking object. But the left loves to rename shit for idiots not to know. Do you have assault cars? Do you have assault knives? Do you have assault planes? Do you have assault poisons? No. You only have assault guns. That it's just absolutely ridiculous that people can't figure that shit out. The other thing, red flag laws, I'm telling you people, that is just a way for government to enforce the Second Amendment. Forget the Constitution. All we need is somebody to call. This is going to cause, I guarantee you, there will be a case. A cop will not like somebody. He will make an anonymous red flag call in order for him to go in there. So all you cops right now, I'm telling you, red flag laws, when somebody screws your girlfriend and takes her because you're a little pink panty, little penis freaking waiting in the hallway kind of guy, and they steal your girlfriend, all you need to do is use the red flag law. Go make an anonymous call on the guy that stole your girlfriend, and then the cops can storm. And if he lives in your area, you get to get called, and you get to respond, and you can probably kill him legally. Man, red flag laws are going to be great. I can't wait. Oh, my God. What a freaking joke. And because a kid's 18 and he commits a crime, they want to raise the age. So what we're saying is that if somebody commits a crime and they raise the age to 21, and now a 21-year-old commits a crime, we can raise the age to 25. And then when a 25-year-old commits a crime, we can raise the age to 30. And then when a 30-year-old commits a crime, we can raise the age to 35. And this is why you don't let government use these bullshit techniques in order to backdoor and subvert the Second Amendment, which is absolutely absolute. The founders put it in as number 2, shall not be infringed. This is the exact reason they put it in there, because they know tyrannical governments will go after the guns. And the more a government goes after the guns, the more tyrannical they must be, because they know people are about to fight back and say enough's enough. Anyway, back to this learning objective here. All right, let's see what we got here. So here's this legislation bill in response to school shooting. The House passed a bill, 86 regular session 2019, the bill Texas Education Code to require school districts to develop a plan. Oh, good thing we had a law or a bill that required school districts to have a plan. School districts should have a plan. They had a plan to wait in a hallway while 19 kids get killed. Perfect. That's a great plan. For active shooter response and multi-hazard emergency plans, the bill further amended the Education Code to require school districts, police officers, and school resource officers assigned to provide services in schools to see, all this sounds great, and then the Supreme Court ruled police have no duty to act. I've updated my legal page. I have a case law for use of force on why cops can and cannot use of force, and the laws that says what they can do and can't do. I've added the laws on why the 2 cases where the Supreme Court has ruled cops have no duty to act. You can't sue the police. The government has discretion, and they can choose to help or they can choose not to help. Just like they did in the last 2 school shootings. They didn't go in and they let kids die. And you know what? Supreme Court said, no problem. You know how you fix that? You get our weak, liberal, and freaking conservative bullshit legislators that are trying to pass red flag laws and M16 laws and buy-in laws and AR laws and assault weapon laws. You get them to pass a law that said police must act to protect citizens. No ifs, ands, buts, or coconuts. Easy bill, easy legislation, easy wording. But you know what? It won't get done because we're too busy giving $58 grand to Ukraine, opening the borders, have people flooding across the border, bringing weapons and drugs, and flooding the schools. It's just a freaking idiot that would believe that if we change gun laws and make it harder for good citizens to own guns, somehow this will fix the government evil problem and the evil people going out doing shooting problems. More laws don't fix that, people. But anyway, I digress. Complete active shooter training. Police officers provide school districts, school officers, blah, 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 blah. If you want to go read this, you can. An active shooter event involves one or more persons engaged in killing or attempting to kill in an occupied by multiple unrelated individuals. Okay, so that's an active shooter. So anytime somebody does a drive-by, basically they're wording this to where they can start counting active shooters and mass shootings for the Chicago shootings that has 46 shootings a night. They're going to make all those shootings mass shootings to make it look like there is a big gun problem. They won't address that guns are coming across the border by the thousands, but no. It'll be getting the guns from legal people is the problem. So we get in here to, there's a profile, some characteristics. The shooter is deliberate, focused, detached from what's happening. They are the bully. Some kill themselves or give up when confronted by police. Yeah, because they're freaking cowards, just like the cops that waited. Anyway, the number of deaths in an active shooter event is primarily affected by two factors: how quickly police and other armed arrived and engages, not just arrives, engages the subject, and how quickly the shooter can find victims. So, why do shooters go to schools? Lots of victims, trapped in classrooms, trapped in there in a no-gun zone where nobody can shoot at them. That's why they pick them. No guns are around. They know they can bring their own gun and have lots of victims. Then you get cops that drive by the suspect, like in this shooting, that don't go in, that when the suspect shoots at them, they run away, and then they wait in the hallway for an hour. That's how you get a lot of victims in. A hostage crisis develops, and this is what they said develops, when one or more criminal holds people against their will and tries to hold off the authorities by force, threatening to kill hostages if provoked or attacked. Typically, the party of the hostage taker will issue demands to force keeping him or her or them surrounded. In cases where the hostage situation was improvised as a desperate attempt to avoid capture, the demand usually resolves around exchanging the lives of the hostage for transport to safety. A simple barricaded crisis develops when an armed actor, that's the suspect, isolates themselves with little or no ability to harm innocent bystanders. Barricaded subjects pose the greatest threat when attempts are made to enter. Barricaded subjects pose the greatest threat when attempts are made to enter the space and subdue them. Well, first of all, the SWAT team is called when you have a barricaded or hostage. And what the Uvalde police are trying to claim here is that this turned in, the chief is trying to say, hey, because he blocked the door with a bunch of helpless kids, it was a barricaded subject. Well, as soon as he entered the school and shut the door behind him, it could be a barricaded subject. So in the chief's mind, anytime a subject or a freaking active shooter or coward goes into a place, if he shuts the door, it's a barricaded subject and now the cops don't have to go in. That's just freaking ridiculous. Now look, the law says the cops don't have to go in. Unfortunately, the cops did not violate the law. And I say this a lot. People want to get pissed off at me. The cops didn't do anything wrong. They didn't violate the law. Morally, ethically, what a man would do, they did a lot wrong. But by the law, they are not required to act. And how in the hell can the government say, we're not required to protect you, but you don't need that mean rifle that shoots fast with a big magazine so you can defend yourself, because we may not come. And even if we come, we may not go in. So you're on your own. But why do you need a big magazine? Why do you need a gun to defend yourself? It just defies logic how people can buy into this. All right? I duck cover bullshit they're trying to say. This is what they tell students and teachers to do. School-based law enforcement officers can assist school in implementing this program. Okay? Deny access to your location. Keep distance between you and your source. Keep distance means get the hell out of the building. All right? Let me go back and review these. Pay attention to your surroundings. That means make sure you freaking get out of there. If you're locked in a room, go out a damn window. Move away from the shooter. Do not hide. The shooter will find you. Someone will let him in. Somebody will accidentally forget to lock the door. Have an exit plan. Jump through a window. Throw a chair through a window. So what? You get cut. Getting cut is a lot less than getting shot. Move away from the source of threat, exactly, is why you should not barricade in a freaking room. The more distance and barriers between you and the threat, the better. Correct. Deny access to your location. Keep distance between you and your source. Create barriers to slow him down. That's true. Stack chairs, things at the door, so if he does get in, he has to move through those or he has to shoot. Turn off the lights. The turn off the lights things I'm not so sure about. I mean, there's good and bad when you turn off the lights. One, you can't see, you can't defend, you can't attack. When he opens the door of that light source, your eyes are going to be in night vision mode. And when he opens the door, the sunlight is going to cause you a little bit of temporary night blindness or flash blindness because your eyes have adjusted. So turn off the lights thing is a little bit debatable. It depends on the situation. If you want to attack him while the lights are off so he can't see you, then I would say that. But, all right, remain out of sight, quite hiding behind large objects. Silence your phone. Defend yourself. Yeah, defend yourself. Not with one of those mean guns. No, no, no. Defend yourself with your lunch. Maybe you got a marshmallow in there you can throw at the guy. Yeah, defend yourself in ways, but not with guns. Only government and bad guys can have guns. That's how government will keep you safe. Let's see. Be aggressive. Commit to your actions once the decision is made. For more information, deny. Why would our priority of life? First responders to active shooters will usually be required to place themselves in harm's way. Really? Obviously not. This is what they're teaching people. Display uncommon acts of courage. Really? Uncommon acts of courage? Wow. To save innocent. Really? Wait in a hallway, 19 cops. That's uncommon acts of courage to save life. This is what your Texas police officers are being taught. And this is what they didn't do. And this is where idiots come in and go, they need more training. You can't train doing the right thing. You can't train not being a coward. You can't train not being weak. You can't train being someone to be stronger or to make better decisions. That's why you have to have standards, hiring standards, and retention standards. And you can't have that with you when you start hiring people because of what color they are or what bathroom they use. First responders must understand and accept the role as protective. Wow, man, this sounds really good on what they're teaching. Too bad they didn't freaking follow any of this in this shooting. Be prepared to meet violence with controlled aggression. Priority of life scale is used for first grade responders. Must recognize innocent life must be defended. Man, this sounds like a commercial to fool people that you don't need a gun and this is what we're training people to defend you. And then reality is what happened at the school shooting where 19 kids were left to be slaughtered while 19 cops stayed in the hallway. Man, this sure does sound good though. Woo! Whoever did the PR for this is good. Okay. The scale does not suggest respond or approach the mission with a reckless abandonment for safety. It doesn't require it, but you know what? Sometimes that's the best way to get out of something. When you're ambushed in the military, if you're caught in an ambush, you rush through the ambush. You turn and you charge into the ambush. If you don't, you die. Period. The chance of survival in an ambush is slim to none and slim left town if you try to run away from the guys shooting. You are taught and it is trained. You run through the ambush. That's your only chance of survival. That would be considered reckless and abandonment of safety. You know what? That's how you survive. When somebody is shooting a kid, maybe you have to run into a room like they end up doing and get shot at, but they still kill the guy. But you know what? No officers were harmed when they entered. And that's the most important. Officer safety. Got to keep those officers safe. They're the heroes. Here's the priorities when responding. Stop the killings. First response. So, when other people are saying that the cops were getting people out, Rick, they were doing first aid. They were calling for SWAT. They weren't supposed to be doing that. Their primary objective is to stop the killing. If you can't stop the killing, you can't help the injured, which means you can't stop the dying. So it's just, this is what is taught on active shooters. And this bullshit about, oh, because he shut the door, it turned into hostage, is just bullshit. I just can't believe people are buying that. You don't stop pursuing a guy that's shooting innocent people. You don't stop till he's dead, till you confront him, and till you exchange rounds, and either you or him is dead. Period. That is the only way to handle active shooters. Later on, they go into speed of movement, stealth versus deliberate. We used to call it dynamic or deliberate. So they're saying stealth slash deliberate. So we would call it deliberate or dynamic. These are the two things that we use. Deliberate is very slow, methodical. You're clearing corners. It's very safe. You're very quiet. The suspect doesn't know you're there. Time isn't important. The goal is to get close to the suspect very quietly and then take a shot or make an entry. Deliberate has no place in active shooters. It's just not there. There are two types of scenarios. First responders do not know the exact location of a suspect conducting a deliberate search of a building. So this is like if somebody's hiding. You get a burglary call, you know somebody's in there, and let's say you don't have a dog, so now you have to clear the building. So you would do a somewhat deliberate search. First responders start, get close, area to close what may be. Speed is not used when shots can be heard and has specific intended location. Okay, stealth and deliberate speed is not used. They're calling it speed, which is kind of oxymoron, because deliberate has anything to do with speed. A deliberate search is timely. What's more important is being quite slow and methodical and not being detected. That's when you use deliberate entries. Okay, so to use deliberate and speed to me is a bad way to say this. Okay, dynamic. The speed of movement is used when the team has information on the location of the suspect. Movement, speed must not be too fast. I disagree. Direct to the threat, you can be hauling ass. Move as fast as you can and shoot accurately, but the team must get to the shooter quickly. They did get there quickly. They got outside the door and stopped. Failure. Failure, failure, failure. Okay? When they get in to stop the dying, that's after you've gotten rid of the subject. As long as you have an active shooter in there trying to kill people, still engaged, still alive, still hasn't been confronted by law enforcement, he is still an active shooter. It does not change. I have not heard, and even if I do hear this, I don't think it's going to change my mind. It may. It would have to be pretty strong. I have not heard one thing about the cops trying to negotiate. I haven't heard one thing about the guy saying, don't come in here or I'll kill a kid. I haven't heard one thing about the guy saying, help me get out of here and I'll let the kids free. That's what you call negotiation. That's what you call a hostage situation. That is normally when somebody wants something for something. They're holding somebody and threatening life in order to get something. This guy didn't want anything. He wanted to kill. He went there and shot unarmed kids and helpless kids and teachers. He wanted to kill. He didn't want anything else. The only way you deal with those people is you track them down like the dog they are and you shoot and you exterminate them. Period. No ifs, ands, buts, or coconuts. So this bullshit about, I thought it turned into a hostage, he barricaded the door, he shut the door, therefore we couldn't enter, we didn't have a key, we had to wait an hour for SWAT. It's all bullshit. Okay, a lot of this lesson plan goes into stopping the bleeding, steps to stop the bleeding, tourniquet. Again, the link's in the description. You can go read it. Oh, this should be interesting. Officer safety. Ooh, I'm surprised that's not at the top of the thing. Equipment check. Observe the officers check to maintain their equipment is working properly. Officers should reevaluate their equipment and communication. Approach the target. Officers should be using any and all means of cover when entering a hot zone. Officers should be using a serpentine motion when going down hallways. Is that serpentine or serpentine? Whatever. Officer should use sound judgment. Really? I think judgment's misspelled. There's not supposed to be an E there. Anyway. When bypassing open or closed doors, officers should recognize the driving force. Yeah, I don't know about all that shit. Concept. Communicate. Officers should be communicating. You kind of got to cover this shit in case you get some idiot who's never cleared a room. But officers should be looking in all directions, really. Looking at their six, yep. Officers back against the wall. Officers should be using the walls to cover. I'm not sure about keeping backs against the wall. I don't like leaning on a wall. You want to stay close to the wall, but if you lean on a wall, you can get shot. So again, I'm not it should be against the wall. It's probably what they're gonna. Yeah. Dude, don't you run this through spell check before you do these lesson plans? I mean, this is an approved lesson plan. Threshold evaluation, clear the room, slice in the pie, blah, 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 blah. Course scenarios. This is where they do the scenarios. Scenario 1, scorn. Okay, I don't want to read all. I don't really give a shit about this. This is the end of it. If you want to go read it, you can. Look, in a nutshell, people, active shooters need to be hunted down and killed. Swiftly, quickly. First priority. Nothing else matters. I don't want to help. I don't want to talk. I don't want to get in a conversation. It doesn't matter. Active shooters, you go to where the shooting can be heard. You track down that piece of shit coward and you kill him. Until you do that, he will continue to kill kids. Even if he doesn't have one of those mean assault rifles. Even if he has a non-assault rifle. Even if he has a rifle that has to reload one round at a time. He will kill until the coward cops enter and not wait in the hallway for a freaking hour while kids are dying. Period. All right? We'll end that there. Y'all have a good one.